Donald Trump loves to say that he picks only the best people, but yet again, and there's been many instances of this, it's his own pick who has said something that has caused him no end of problems, including problems before judges, because a judge has now blocked one of Donald Trump's attempts to punish the Democrats in this ongoing shutdown and is using one of Trump's pick's words to make that happen. And so in this case, it's director of the OMB, Russ Vought. And so let's jump into the actual quote that's being referenced here.
We're definitely talking thousands of people. Much of the reporting has been based on kind of court snapshots, which they've articulated is in the 4,000 number of people. But that's just a snapshot, and I think it'll get much higher. And we're going to keep those riffs rolling throughout this shutdown because we think it's important to stay on offense.
So you're saying there's been a snapshot of 4,000 jobs cut.
Correct.
Is there a special, but it could grow much higher?
It could grow higher. I think we'll probably end up being north of 10,000.
So that is the director of OMB, I believe, talking to, correct me if I'm wrong, the Charlie Kirk producer who would not condemn the gas chambers chat.
Andrew Colvin, whose phone number I have. Yeah,
he seems like a cool guy. But anyway, once again, the Trump administration, these members, man, they gotta be out there talking to Trump through a TV, basically. But when they do that, they hurt their efforts. And we saw it with Jimmy Kimmel, with Brendan Carr. I think we're seeing it here with Russ Vought, because US District Judge Susan Ilston in San Francisco has blocked some of these job cuts being pushed through during the shutdown, saying they appear to be politically motivated, saying it's very much ready, fire, aim on most of these programs, and it has a human cost. It's a human cost that cannot be tolerated. And that definitely seems true of the massive cuts that happened to the CDC that had to be in part rolled back like within one day. It's because they're just firing people. They don't care what damage is actually done. Trump also made clear, by the way, that he wants to do these crackdowns, not because they have to happen, but because they're Democrat programs and they're never gonna come back in many cases. He is making it clear to judges that these are partisan firings that are happening and make it easier for judges like Ilston to block them. But it's not the only judicial decision that went against Donald Trump. A judge has also blocked Trump from cutting $34 million in anti-terror funds that were supposed to be given to protect New York City's transit system. To be clear, this is money that was set up after 9/11. There have been according to the NYPD police commissioner, there's been at least 8 terrorist plots on the city subways since then. And Donald Trump was pulling anti-terrorism funding from New York City. That seems like the sort of thing that would call for impeachment for another president, but Donald Trump just gets to try to do it. And thankfully a judge has stepped in to block it in this case. So 2 good bits of good news. Brett, what do you make of it?
Right, this is like, what role does all of your vitriol toward something in politics play in your life? For many people that support Trump, they're like, the government's too big, we're spending too much money, let's get rid of government spending, so something about debt and my tax dollars. Like, that's vaguely it. But if it's just, if it still stays in this ethereal, non-specific application of that instinct, then you end up being like, any cut's a good cut, but then you end up being like, oh, let's get rid of $34 million in anti-terror funding that has thwarted terrorist attacks to date. And that doesn't make sense. And I remember I worked with Dan Harmon, he's a great writer. He was like, some people are like, oh, do you want 1,000 pounds of candy? And you're like, yes. And they're like, do you want a stomach ache? And they're like, no. And they don't see the conflict in there. And that's what this is. And that's the problem with having someone like Trump. And that's my problem with a lot of Silicon Valley innovators. There's a lot of folks out there, I myself included, I'm in the other camp and I err on the other side, where a lot of times I'm like, someone has an idea and I'm like, no, you can't do that because it's different and we need to analyze every single step of it. And sometimes that paralyzes the process. That's a bad instinct. And you need the other instinct around, but not in this dosage. What Trump is doing, he's just like, shut it down, cut the thing, get rid of it. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care enough about you and me to even look into the specifics of what he's cutting. And the result could be a terrorist attack, which is hilariously ironic because At the same time, he's saying the real terrorists are the people in the dinosaur inflatable suits in Portland. Meanwhile, he's cutting the funding to actually stop real terrorists from real subway plots.
Yeah. Yeah, and imagine if there was a successful plot there after he cuts the funding. Again, I don't think it would matter now, but it's the sort of thing that for other presidents would be an absolute disaster politically for him.